everyone. I have my husband here with me today. So, what are we going to be talking about today?
Whatever you like.
Okay. I would like to talk about how we found and moved into our house.
Okay. Well, you used to tell the story best, so I'll let you tell it.
I'm going to leave out so much detail.
And I'll start with we were living in our previous home. It was approximately 1,800 square feet on just over 3 acres. We lived in the country, and we were doing home renovation to the house, planning to stay in that house forever. And like in that previous video, my wife said that we were commuting back and forth to work and church, driving 55 miles, approximately 55 miles there. It'd take about an hour, hour and a half, depending on traffic, to get there or drive back home. So one day my wife comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to move." And I'm like, "I don't." And
he was serious.
that went on for a while. And obviously she was serious about it. So I said, "Hey, I don't want to live in the city. Grew up in the city entire life. I'll make a compromise with you. I didn't move to Texas to live in the city. I could have, stayed in my hometown, lived in the city." So I told her that if she could find something with at least an acre, that I would consider it. And she looked and showed me a bunch of houses that I didn't like at all. And I looked on the internet for probably like 5 minutes, and I said, "Hey, if you could find me something like this, comparable to this, then I would consider moving to the city."
Okay, so pause. Can you say what that house was like? the house that he said, if you can find me something like this, can you just say a little bit about that house?
That house was like a little bit bigger than an acre.
Yeah, the lot was
a little bit bigger than an acre. It was a 2-story home. It had a pool, and I really liked the living room on it.
It wasn't 2-story though.
That one, I believe, was 2-story.
The very first house?
Very first one, and then the one on the next street.
Oh, okay. All right, so needless to say, this house was unattainable, way outside of our budget. I mean, it was a huge house on an acre in the city. I mean, he was like, "If you can find me something like this, then I'll move." I'm like, "Okay, so basically what you're saying is you don't want to move and we're not moving." So, yeah, continue.
But she liked it.
It was nice,
And
but we couldn't afford it.
again, so she looked at it, she liked it, we went and saw it, she liked it.
We did go see it.
And
Mistake.
after that, we would look at houses online, and we would always come back to a house in that same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there were other houses that we looked at weren't in that same neighborhood.
Yeah, like we looked further south, we looked further east. I mean, we did venture outside of that square radius, but
she felt it was too country. When we ventured out of that area, it was no longer city.
I mean, I'm trying to get out of the country, okay?
So,
I was tired of being just in the country.
I like the space. I like the privacy. So country was just the perfect place for me.
Okay.
Because at our first home, you know, if someone came and knocked on the door, and that was like an oddity, like, hey, like, why is somebody at the door? Like,
Yeah, that was out.
you had to walk pretty far to get to our door. Like, no one just comes and shows up and says, hey, like, only person that would show up is like a meat salesman. And who has a meat salesman come to their door?
Someone who lives in the country.
Yeah. So that was like the only person who would come to the door, other than someone that you invited and were anticipating showing up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like she said, we looked a little further south, a little further in the country, and she wasn't feeling that. She really wanted to be in the city, so we kept coming back to the same neighborhood, or we would find houses that were not to my liking.
Yes.
So, another house that stands out to me was in the same neighborhood. It was just like a couple blocks over, and that one was 2 stories, and it was just a little less than 2 acres. And, you know, it was in the same price range as the one I had pointed out before. And, you know, she liked that one. Matter of fact, she really liked that one. I really liked that one.
Yeah, we both really liked it. It's just, okay, so with that house, everyone liked it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Everyone liked it. So many people put offers on it, and like someone bid like
That was 10,000 or more over asking price.
over the asking price. I mean, wrote a letter, like went and sat and had dinner with the owners. I mean, it was like, okay, you are in it to win it, and we're not about that life. Like, just giving the asking price was us like pushing it. We were like, I don't even know how we're gonna make that work. So, yeah.
Then during all this time, we saw the house that we're in now, but you know, we looked at it like, hey, that's nice, but no, that's out of our price range.
Way out.
So you know,
We didn't come look at the house. We just saw it online.
yes, we saw it online and said, hey, you know, that's a nice house, but it's out of our price range. But this second house in the same neighborhood that I'm talking about that we both liked, that was just a little less than 2 acres and 2 stories, what was I gonna say? Someone bid on it, and we had made an offer on it. We got outbidded. They went with the person who bid over their asking price, wrote a letter, had dinner with them. So, you know, we really liked this particular neighborhood. So we said, hey, you know, we're just going to drive around in the neighborhood and see if we see a house for sale. So we're just driving along, and we come down our street and we see this house, and we're like, oh, that house is for sale. And then we look up the address on Zillow or Redfin, whatever home selling site, whatever. And my wife, she recognized the address.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, that's that house that we like that we can't afford.
Right. Yeah.
So for some reason, we had our realtor do a showing of this house, and I think it was like 3 other houses that were nothing compared to this house. It was just like we were setting ourselves up
yeah, for heartbreak, okay?
to fall in love with this house.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I remember we were at another house in the neighborhood when we were doing these like 4 different showings back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And the realtor was like, I can't wait until we see the last one.
Yeah, we were like,
I bet that's the most expensive one.
Right.
And what was making our home shopping difficult is we were looking for a 5-bedroom home.
Right. Because we have 4 kids.
And we wanted everyone to have their own bedroom. So we were looking for a 5-bedroom, which doesn't really pop up.
It doesn't.
Like if you are looking for a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, oh yeah, you find millions of homes. But when it comes to 5 bedrooms in our price range, oh, it's
No.
almost non-existent.
In the city, on an acre.
Yes.
No.
So we had actually given up on looking for a 5-bedroom and started looking for 4 bedrooms.
Yep.
Because, you know, that's what was available. So this house was listed as a 4-bedroom.
It was, but don't forget about the other house. Remember the one that we bid over on?
Okay.
Yes.
Rewind. Before we saw this house and like 4 showings or whatnot, we went and saw another house in another neighborhood, and that house was, I think it was 2 acres,
Mm-hmm.
or it was around 2 acres.
Right.
Around 2 acres, but the 2 acres wasn't flat, it was like on a hill.
Yeah.
So like the front had a entry gate, and then you drive through the entry gate, and then you drive across a bridge because there's a big creek right there. And then once you get to the other side of the creek, then there's the house.
That was nice.
And,
I did like that.
This house, like it was 4,000 something ridiculous feet. Like, you know, when you're walking to this house, you're like, you go around the corner, and you're like, hey, there's a whole nother wing on this side of the house.
Yes, it was crazy.
But like, it had 3 living rooms. I think it had 5 bedrooms, 3-car garage.
Yeah, it was crazy.
When you went in the backyard, you would go up the hill, and then there was like a big shed.
Yeah,
and
there was
then,
2 sheds. There were 2 sheds.
oh yeah, there was a shed behind the house, around the garage area or something like that. Then you went up the hill, and there was a shed, and then you went up the hill some more, and then it leveled out, and it was just like a little pasture up there.
And there was like a section off of one of the living rooms where it had like French doors that opened, and it opened into like a little private
Courtyard.
Yeah, courtyard, and it had a big playpen back there. Not playpen, what am I trying to say? Swing set with
Yes.
a big slide and everything. We were like, oh, okay, like this is really nice.
And this house we could easily afford, not even trying.
afford.
We said, oh, this house was built in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was built in the 50s, they had redone a lot of the stuff in the
they had
house.
updated
It
a
was
lot.
really, really updated. Like when I say updated, like late 2000s updated.
Yeah.
I think like only thing that stands out to me that I didn't like was like the front living room. It still had like wood paneling,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think the dining room had just like some type of
The
12 by 12
floor, yeah.
white square tiles, but it seemed like it was like kind of faded and like the ground had started getting dirty or something. Other than that, everything else was updated. The kitchen was updated, the bedrooms were updated. It was really nice. But this house we could easily afford, and you know, I remember we were at the circus,
Yeah, we were at the Universal.
the Universal Circus. I remember we stepped out and we were talking to a realtor on the phone, and
Circling to here.
we were like, you know, we really want this house, and you know, she was saying like, yeah, they're getting other offers on it, and you know, we said, hey, we want this house, we like this house, we want it bad enough. We're not gonna lose this one. We're gonna bid 12,000 over. We're gonna get this house. This house is ours.
This is our house.
So
with that house, the owners lived out of state.
yes,
So they were just trying to get rid of the house. I don't think they even realized that their house was worth as much as it was worth. Because like
it was below market value.
It was way below though.
Yeah, it was below market value. Like I'm gonna say that it was like 100,000 under
Yes.
market
Which
value.
sounds crazy, but that's pretty accurate.
But so we said we're gonna get this house. We bid 12,000 over, and I think the next day or a couple days later, we found out that we were the highest bidder.
Yay, we won, right?
But the owner of the home decided. Well, let me rephrase that. The realtor,
The owner's realtor.
the owner's realtor, advised the owner, like, hey, you should probably go with a different offer because our offer, even though it was the highest, we had a contingency of we needed to sell our house in order to buy this house.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to sell this house as soon as possible, go with this other offer that doesn't have a contingency.
Right. So them, let me just say this, them not knowing our house or anything about our house that we were selling, because our house, so our original house was built in the 70s, like Craig said, it was about 1,800 square feet. It was on 3 acres.
Mm-hmm.
It was in an area where they had built up all, like, it was like the city was moving in on us.
Yeah, we got a Walmart.
Yes, we got a Home Depot.
Yeah.
We got all those restaurants.
They started building a lot of businesses in that area.
And so city was moving in, but we still had 3 acres. We were the first house outside of city limits.
Yeah.
So our house was worth a lot at that time, you know, from what we purchased it for, and we had redone the whole inside.
Yes.
So they had no idea that we had our little gem that was going to easily sell and gain like a lot of offers. So go ahead.
So when they decided to go with somebody else's offer, we still wanted the house, and we asked them, hey, would you be willing to take a backup offer? And they said yes, and we lowered our bid by $6,000 over the asking price. And, you know, I'm going to say maybe a week went by. Well, they accepted the backup offer.
Right.
And then maybe a week went by and we sold our house. Well, we had a contract on our house.
Yes. Our house was under contract like that.
We notified them and said, the owner of this house, and said, hey, you know,
our house is under contract.
Yeah, we have an offer on the house. We have a contract.
You want to get in on this?
We are supposed to be closing on this date. And at this point, the owner of that house was trying to do everything that they could to get these people not to buy that house so that they could sell it to us. But so it was just like, hey, if anything was wrong with the house, and the buyer of this house was like, hey, you know, something's wrong with this, you know, I want that to be fixed, and the owner was like, no, I ain't fixing nothing. It's as is. And, you know, the day before they would lose their earnest money, they decided, you know what, we're going to go ahead with this deal, even though you're not willing to fix anything.
Yep.
So like another week went by, and, you know, it just seemed like that deal was going to go through. So
yeah, so we went ahead and retracted our backup offer.
We didn't retract it immediately. We felt like, hey, this is not going to be our house, you know.
Yeah.
Even though we gave good effort, being 12,000 over, beat everybody, this is not going to be our house. So again, drawn back to the same neighborhood as the original house that I showed my wife, we decided to drive up and down the streets of that neighborhood just to see if we saw some for sale signs. And then we saw this house, which was the house that, you know, we had seen before online and knew we couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And, you know, we lined up a showing of this house and like 3 other houses.
Crappy houses.
Like I said, they were nothing in comparison to this house. Not the same square footage, not the same lot size. Like,
needing all kinds of repairs. I mean,
only one of them was in the same neighborhood. The other 2 were like in the neighborhood adjacent or close to. And yeah, it was
no comparison.
So we went and looked. The one that was in this neighborhood, it was nice, but I didn't feel like it fit our family. Like we probably could have made it work, but to move from the house I was happy at to move into the city, I would have rather stayed in the country. So we came and saw this house, and I remember we came in the front door, and it's just something about the houses in this neighborhood, the engineering, whoever designed these houses, I really like the living rooms that they did. Now, the other houses that we saw in this neighborhood, the living rooms weren't as big as this one. Our living room is 30 feet long and was it 20 feet wide?
20 feet wide.
And this one is actually bigger than all the living rooms that I've seen in this neighborhood. But the vaulted ceiling and all the windows in the living room, I really was attracted to that. So I remember walking in and seeing that. I was like, man, this is awesome. And this house was already really updated. Like the previous owners had done a lot of work to the home as far as updating it. So it was kind of like you need to walk in and like do nothing or very little. Now there's some things I don't like about the house, but I've yet to do anything about them. We'll get there. But I remember we had walked through the kitchen. There's a bedroom, the bathroom, another bedroom, and another family room. So while my wife was over there looking in the family room, I walked to the other side of the house, and I just walked through it real quick, just looking in the doors. And I remember I walked back into the family room back there, and I told my wife, I was like, "There's 3 bedrooms on the other side, which is 5 bedrooms, like we were originally looking for, but it's listed as a 4 bedroom."
Listed as 4.
And like she didn't say anything. It was just like she didn't even hear it. Like it was like 30 seconds later before she was like, "You said there's 3 bedrooms on the other side?" And then she started counting bedrooms on this, and then she was like, "Hey, let's go to the other side." And then she saw that there was 3 bedrooms on that side. She was like, "Man, this is it." I don't know. We got some 3 rooms on the other side of the house.
What do you think this room was before? Because they have a big old, huge air register in the closet.
Air register?
Mm-hmm. On that back wall. Wait, did you say 3?
Before. What? Almost 3.
Either way, whether it's 3 or 4, I'm excited about it. So, 1, 2, 3.
I miscount. But again, this is out of our price range. So
I wanted this to be it, but finances said otherwise.
I think that we bid like as far as what our
Budget?
the person doing our loan, what they said that we could afford, we called them up and said, "Hey, what is this number? How close can you get to this number?" And the number that they gave us, which was
I'll just tell you like this, because I know the numbers. So the price range that we were looking at was probably about $100,000 over what our lender told us. So, continue.
so that's about Yeah, so the number that the person doing our loan came up with, they were able to get within 30,000 of what they were trying to sell this house for. So we said, hey, what's the worst they could say is no, right? So 30,000 under what you asking. And then
That's faith right there, okay?
and then, our realtor said, hey, they came back with a counter.
We're like, you mean they didn't just throw it out and laugh at it?
And then the counter was like,
it was like 5,000 more.
No. It was like 10,000 more.
Okay,
I think it was 10,000.
10,000 more.
So 20,000. We bid 30,000 less than they were asking.
Mm-hmm.
They came back with 20,000 less than they were asking, and we countered them. And we said, hey, we'll come up 5,000 more. We can't come up any more.
Yes.
With us coming up 5,000 more.
True.
This is what we told the realtor to tell them.
Yes.
Us coming up 5,000 more means that we are eating top ramen
Yes.
and drinking water to make this deal happen.
Yes.
So,
which was true.
So if you ask for any more, like we can't do it. Like when we told you the 30,000 below you're asking, like we were all in on it.
Yes, we were.
Now we're gonna have to walk some places now and eat some top ramen. So they accepted the 25,000. Yeah, 25,000 less than what they asked for. They had an offer and were under contract with someone before us, and they had already done a survey.
Yep.
And we told them, hey, that survey's fine.
Yep.
We don't need you to do anything.
We don't need nothing.
We just trying to get in this house.
Yep. We don't need nothing.
It sounds all good. Like they accepted it. We under contract. And then, I'll let you tell this part of the story.
No, not that part. We have to go back to the other house. Remember? The house that we were hoping for.
Oh, no, we're not at that part yet.
We're not at that part yet?
We're not at that part. So we got to go to this part.
So what are we at? My career changes?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell this part. Okay, so it's sounding all good, right? We were supposed to close, the end of the month?
Yes.
Yes, we're supposed to close at the end of the month. So we got a contract
on both houses.
On our house. Yeah, everything was going to go perfectly. We got a contract on our house. We're under contract on this house. We're closing at the end of the month. We're probably maybe 3 weeks out, would you say? 3 or 2?
No, I'd say about 2 weeks.
We're about 2 weeks out. So 2 weeks out from us closing on selling our house and buying this new house, I get fired. He laughs like it's funny. It was not funny, you guys. It was not funny at all. So not only do I get fired, so Craig and I talk and we're like, oh my goodness, like what are we gonna do now? Like I'm telling him like I just got fired. Like I don't even know what to do. And so we like just started praying, like for real. We instantly got on our knees and started praying. We were like, Lord, we don't know. We don't know what's going on right now. Like, just your will be done because this is so unexpected. Everything seemed like it was falling in line. Everything was going right. And then out of nowhere, I get fired. So,
they had already done the first credit check. Everything was
They had done the credit check. They had, checked our income was approved, everything. They had done all the verification. We were just kind of like, you know what? We believe in you, Jesus. We just gonna let it ride. Like, that's what we were thinking. So then, how long before? Was this like
week and a half?
Like a week and a half before, our lender just
got to do the secondary Credit check,
Right.
make sure everything is still.
Make sure everything is still in line.
Mm-hmm.
Second verification, like, you know, why you gotta verify twice?
Verify employment, all that.
Verify employment twice.
Dude.
I know, they were like, oh yeah, like, she no longer works here. Next thing you know, my phone is blowing up, Craig's phone is blowing up. Linda leaves a message like, hey, you know, we just tried to verify your employment and they said that you're no longer working there. Like, what's going on? And I heard the message and I just like burst into tears and I'm just like, Craig, I don't know what to do. Craig's like, I don't know what to do either. Let's pray. So we prayed.
We're about to be homeless.
We're about to be homeless because
this deal doesn't.
There's nothing we could do about taking back our contract from selling our house. Like, our house is sold. Because the people buying our house, the buyers for our house, they already had their loan, like their loan was in stone. There was no falling out of their loan or anything. Like, they were ready to go. They were living with friends of theirs and ready to go for real. Mm-hmm. Like, there was nothing we could do to break that contract. Everything had already gone through on that. It was just time now. We were just waiting. They were literally waiting for us because they were wanting us to get out sooner. But we couldn't get out sooner because we didn't have a place to go. So literally the time is just ticking for us to get out of our old house so that they could get in. And we're just like, oh my God, are we about to be homeless with 4 kids? Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's that.
I did my part.
I did my part too. Like, that just came out of nowhere. But honestly, looking back on it now, like, that was a horrible experience. Don't get me wrong. But that experience really drew us together. Like, I mean, sometimes things go wrong and all of a sudden the relationship goes wrong. You know what I mean? But for us, like, so things in relationships do one of the 2 things. They either drive you together or they drive you apart. And so for us, that was a huge deal. Like, we're selling our house, we're about to be homeless, we don't have a house to go to. You lost your job. So, you know, me, I'm feeling like super guilty because I'm the one messing it up basically for our whole family. Shut up. And so I was feeling terrible. But my husband was right there by my side, just praying and like, reassuring me, like, it's gonna work out, like, don't worry about it, it's gonna be fine, like, God's got us. And you know, it just really pulled us together. So that was awesome.
So how'd you fix that?
So the way that we fixed that, so I actually knew someone who had their own business, and so I was like, hey, I need to come work for you, like, immediately. Like, I need to get on your payroll. Like, you can hire me as your personal assistant. I don't even care. I just need to be making X per hour, basically, in order to be able to qualify for this loan. And so they were like, hey, I got you, no problem. So she just worked it out. That's how that was resolved.
So she got another job. She gets her first paycheck. We show the lender, hey, she got paid. She got another job.
Please make this deal go through.
They verify employment. All is well. I want to say now we are like 3 days before closing on this house.
Wait, before you even say that. So when I lost my job and Craig and I were praying, we reached out to our realtor and said, hey, please contact the seller's realtor, the sellers, and let them know what's going on. Like, we're trying to make this deal happen on time, but can they please give us an extension?
Yeah.
Remember? They were like, extension? Hell no, you didn't get no extension. And our earnest money, like, all that was gone. We had signed that away, remember? We had signed that away, no contingencies. Mm-hmm. That's what we signed because we so badly wanted them to accept our offer. We were willing to sign all of that away. And so we would have lost all our earnest money and everything because
she'd have lost it.
I would have lost all our money and everything. But because it was like crickets.
Mm-hmm.
When we asked for that extension, it was like, doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, I don't think they ever even
They never responded. So,
like, we called back and said, hey, everything's back where it was. It's a go.
and they were like, good for you. Because basically, like, we couldn't help you. We weren't trying to help you. So, yes. Now, fast forward to
3 days before
we're closing.
Little behind the scenes story that we didn't know about until like after we closed on this house.
Mm-hmm.
But the house that we had bid on $12,000 over, they fell out of contract. Fell out of contract the day that they were supposed to close.
The day of, like an hour before closing.
Yes. And they were like, oh yeah, you remember those people who had the backup offer and had that really good offer of $12,000 over? They contacted our realtor and said, hey, are your clients still interested in this house? And we're like, nah, they're about to close on this other house in a couple days. But, I just thought that was just amazing, like how God blocked that house, even though we did everything humanly possible to get that house. And, it was just going to be so easy to get in that house. But,
that wasn't his plan for us.
It wasn't his plan.
It was like, I have something better for you.
Over a year later, from me showing my wife the original house in this neighborhood, we found this house and closed on this house.
Yeah. Amen. And so let me tell you a little side story that I just learned about the other house. So the house that the person sat down and wrote a letter and had dinner with. So
and they bid $10,000.
And they bid $10,000 over.
Yeah.
So their next door neighbor told me, she was like, oh yeah, they've had nothing but problems with that house since they got it. And I'm just like, well, thank you, Jesus. Like,
God, block that.
No.
Block that.
I'm telling you.
Slide right through here.
You're right. So, we haven't had any problems with our house. Like,
stop. You trust me? All right, go proceed.
Yes. Awesome. And that was definitely a faith tester. Me losing my job that close to closing, I was like, oh my God, Lord. Like, I've never prayed like that before.
It's a marriage tester and everything.
Stop. So, obviously he worked it out. So, if you're out there and you like believe in God for something, like, keep believing, even though you haven't seen it yet, because it took us a long time to get to this point. And, I'm just glad that we didn't give up prematurely through all that time that it took.
Yeah, pretty much. Do you have anything else to add?
I was just going to ask you the same thing.
My only thing was, I thought it was kind of petty that the previous owner took the lights, the little solar lights that were around the horseshoe driveway, or
that was petty.
I'm like, really? That don't come with the house? You gonna take the
But it did. It was supposed to come with the house.
You gonna take the lawn lights?
Anything connected to the house was supposed to come with the house, and so I just so happened to be doing a drive-by because I was like, oh, my house! I can't wait to get into my house. Just a few days before closing, and he's out there pulling up the lawn lights. I'm like, really? You're pulling up the lights on the driveway? And if you're watching, you know what you did.
He's so silly.
And so I said to Craig, let's contact the realtor because they're not supposed to do that. Make them put them back. And he was like, just let it go. Just let it go.
Another thing was the previous owner to this house, they wanted to stay in the house after closing, 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless, we were going to have to live somewhere else between our previous house and this house. So we stayed with a friend. We packed up all our stuff in our U-Haul, and we drove it over here, and we parked it on the street. In front of the house. And, we went and stayed with a friend, and when the time came where they were supposed to be gone, my wife came. they finishing up what they need to do, and you know, they leave, and she walked in. And the next day, we unloaded everything. And we have a marble table, and I remember that thing fell on my leg. I was so mad.
Oh my goodness, I remember
Like,
that.
I
too.
had a bruise on my leg for months.
For a very long time. He was trying to move it by himself.
Nope. We were moving we were in the back of the U-Haul truck moving something else. And this was like one of the last few things on the truck.
Yes.
So
I forgot.
if the truck is long way this way,
He's so right.
I'm walking backwards and she's walking towards me, and she has that end of whatever
we're actually
moving,
hearing.
and I have this end. And since this is one of the last things on the truck, when we're walking, we're like kind of like duck walking, like this, and we're making the truck rock back and forth like this. Now behind me, there's a marble table that is sitting vertically up against the wall. And since we're rocking the truck with our little duck walk, it had tipped over and came down on the side of my cab.
Yeah. And I could see it falling because it's behind him. I could see it, and I was like, oh my goodness, there was nothing I could do. It fell so quickly.
I felt like she had pushed me a little bit faster so that I'd be in the way of it.
No, absolutely not.
But after I got injured, that stayed in the truck. And like some friends had moved it.
Yeah, I remember now. Joseph came and helped the hand truck.
But that is the end of that story.
Yes, it is. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Craig, for sharing.
Oh, one last thing. I was telling my wife that the acoustics in here is terrible. I would fix that.
The acoustics in here are fine. They are customary for a 600 square foot room. Okay.
It's real echoey, but
Echo.
I'll fix that.
Bye. So, what if I told you that this was the way that God decided to answer your prayers?
I would be really happy. Nope.
You'd be really happy?
Yes.
You'd be happy? So, what if I told you that this was our house?
I would be even more happy. Yeah.
You'd be happy?
If it wasn't. And I'd be
And if
so
it wasn't?
excited. So
Would
excited.
you be sad if it wasn't?
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed if I were messing with you?
I would.
You would. Okay. Well, this is our house.
Yay!
We bought this house. We own this house.
Welcome home.
This is our house.
This is, I call my room.
Baby's like, forget you.
Alrighty then.
Jumping, jumping,
Candace. Courtney.
Joy down in my heart.
All right. So
Let's get unpacking.
let's not get unpacking. The first thing we're gonna do is thank God for answering our prayers.
You are amazing.
You guys are crazy. I love you guys.
You really bought this house?
Yes, we really own this house.
You're not messing with this.
I'm not messing with you. This is our house. This is our house. You want me to prove it to you?
No.
She's like, yeah, I do.
Oh, the keys on the table.
The keys are on the table.
I am yours.
They left us a note. We hope you enjoy your new home. We have been very happy here. Safe, quiet, great neighbors. This is our house.
Yeah, that one's my room.